Philadelphia. Optics, John. It's amazing here that there isn't a diva wide receiver blowing up. The head coach isn't on the hot seat. The QB isn't being attacked and leaked every week if he can't do shit. That is Cato in our Discord, who just believes that we are heading into the optics tunnel, that Nick Sirianni should be fired, that most of the words that he said at the press conference were kiss-ass, licky-dick, word salad, right? I don't believe that. I don't know if Kyler does, but we're going to find out today. Welcome into the Watching the Birds podcast and social club. I'm John Barchard, and as always, we have another conundrum to solve that I feel like we've been talking about for 19 weeks, but let's celebrate a little bit, Kyler. Pizza party can start. Kevin Patullo, and apparently an option to come back to join the staff, is on the table, but he has been removed as offensive coordinator. The pepperoni pizza is on its way. I'll take one from Domino's per your suggestion or conversation from the other show. I want to get into some stuff because people are really excited about Brian Daboll, Mike McDaniel, and kind of where Howie Roseman is going to be super aggressive. However, I do think we're missing a few things per usual. But where do you stand, my man? Are you feeling a little better after this press conference and Potato being out of here?
This is the best that I've felt in 20 weeks. It's incredible. If you can't hear the smile on my face, then there's something wrong. I am so excited that he's gone. Now, will he be actually kicked out of the building? I don't know. I also don't know how that'll work at all, or how that can work. And Nick said in his presser that he's got a lot of confidence that he can be a coach in this league. And I'm like, I don't know how you can just say that after you just demoted your best friend, but I'm ecstatic. Where's the nearest Papa John's at? Where's the nearest Papa John's at? Do they have any specials going on? Because I need a large 2-topping pepperoni and sausage pizza in my lap. And
you see what I'm talking about, folks? We need to absolutely get this man a little more pizza educated when he comes out here.
I will gladly take it. I love trying new foods, especially like culture foods. I love it.
Speaking of the culture, it is going to change, maybe a little bit, maybe a lot of it. But this idea that Mike McDaniel is going to come in here and have full autonomy of the offense and hearing all these different words. Did everyone hear how much and how vehemently Howie Roseman defended Nick Sirianni in that press conference after he's getting peppered about, is it your offense still or not, buddy? What are you looking for in an offensive coordinator? How the fuck are you going to fix this? And Howie comes back with, this is an elite head coach. And to Cato's point, sure, you could say this is optics for everything. Then I'm going to fight back and say, then you can't say Howie Roseman downplayed A.J. Brown and the trade talks and all that stuff. Then I'm just going to say that's optics too. I do think we got some answers there. Are they open to stuff? Of course they're open to stuff. Does it mean that Mike McDaniel can come in here and bring his staff in and no one's going to tell him what to do and have the ability to fire Stoutland or things like that? Is it that type of power? Because I don't think so. If it's that type of power, well, we're going to fight on this, Kyler. This job is not desirable. And I'm sorry that Elliott Shore-Park said it out loud and made you feel uncomfortable. But unfortunately, Peter Schrager and Mike Garofalo also backed up that statement. I felt that way the second he said it, and the Discord got mad at me for that too. So Kyler, why do you think this job is so desirable? Because I have some answers to maybe why it's not.
Well, the first thing that I'll say is when you look at the overall team in general, right? You look at the overall team, I think we get so narrowed in focused on the offense itself. Why is this offense not desirable? Lane is going to be retiring potentially. AJ might be traded. Has Saquon lost a step? I think we can narrow it so focusly on the offense, but we also have to look at the whole team. And as an offensive coordinator, I would man, this defense will get stops for me. Without a doubt they will. And I think that's the part that makes it a little more desirable. Obviously, if you know that you can for sure get off the field and if you know this will be a top 10 defensive unit, I think that makes it way more attractive. Now, again, we'll see what the defense actually looks like because there's going to be basically three big tough decisions that Howie has to make with Jalen Phillips, Reed Blankenship, and Nakobe this offseason. This is still a great young defense with Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, and I think that really pushes it a lot. Now, the other question that answered to me that I brought up on Monday to you, John, is would Mike McDaniel and Vic Fangio click at all on that coaching staff just with how everything ended with Vic and Miami? And clearly, if the reports are saying that they're really targeting Mike McDaniel and a Brian Daboll and a Charlie Weiss, but really more so Mike McDaniel, obviously, to me, that seems like that they have a good relationship. Like, I think that's another aspect that you have to really weigh in, and I wouldn't think that they would try to go after Mike McDaniel, because ultimately, again, Vic holds a lot of weight on this coaching staff. I would argue just as much as Nick does. Also, we don't know what's happening in these meetings. I will be the optimistic one, I guess, here. But man, they just won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. But you also have to look at, there is some continuity, and there is this core group of offensive players that have been here for years upon years. As an offensive coordinator, they're going to have the confidence to fix what's going on. I would be shocked if any human being to accept that role doesn't believe that. And I don't think that they should be hired if they can't do that. A lot of that presser yesterday was word salad, but I also think there was some pretty good nuggets in there. And I'm so hopeful for this future. I really am. And I know Nick's fingerprints might be on it. However, I also think Nick Sirianni's coaching for his job on the line. If he really, really wants to be the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, I have some faith that he's not going to have his fingerprints on stuff. I do. And I don't know. I'm way more optimistic in that route. And I know that's going to be a lot of pushback, but I'll be the positive voice in the room. That's fine by me. I got no problem with it.
No, I'm just laughing because Howie Roseman is saying this guy's an elite head coach in a presser, and you're going, well, he's coaching for his job.
I do, because if he has his fingerprints, but listen, hear me out. If he has his fingerprints on this offense, and it's a 11-6 wild card bounce out year, I would be shocked if there's not changes made. Because whatever.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right, Kyler, stop right there. That's exactly where I'm going. Okay, so here's where the pushback begins for me. You just said it. Is Brian Dable, Mike McDaniel, the top candidates that are in the NFL, and I'll stick with them. Are you really going to either A, believe you can get to the Super Bowl with this group? Because that's really what we're saying. Can you get this team to the Super Bowl? There has been no offensive coordinator that got hired in a playoff run during Howie Roseman's tenure unless they didn't get there or win it. This fantasy that you're automatically going to get a head coaching job once you're done with the Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator position is complete bullshit. There has been no hirings from Doug's tree outside of the Super Bowl. There's been no hirings from Nick's tree outside of the Super Bowl. And guess what? Only Kellen Moore has succeeded. Jonathan Gannon, as we figured, failed miserably. And I think Howie Roseman did some form of Houdini magic trick to make them hire them, and I still can't prove that yet. So all of that aside, if you're Brian Dable, are you willing to now take over your supposed good friend's job or mentor or whatever and say, bye, Nick, now I'm the head coach because I'm Brian Dable and I can run the offense and I got a better relationship than Jalen Hurts? Same scenario with Mike McDaniel. With the, let's just say, are we at 13, possibly 15 different teams that you could go to between an offensive coordinator and he's still getting head coaching interviews? You know, there is no way that I can see Mike McDaniel going like, you know what? I love Jalen Hurts. I love all these offensive weapons. I'm in. You've got to guarantee that Nick doesn't get fired. Otherwise, those two guys are going to be in the same cycle again. And just from, if we want to get into an optic standpoint, what really does Nick Sirianni do if you've got Vic Fangio, and let's just buy into the bullshit for a second of the offensive coordinator's got full autonomy, like to the point where he can fire Stoutland. He can bring in his entire offensive staff if he wants to. What is Nick Sirianni doing at that point? Just fire the goddamn coach and have some dignity, you know? So that's where I just come back and say, like, Nick is not giving up his offense. Otherwise, you know, this wouldn't be as large a discussion as it is. There are so many jobs that you can walk into, even if the team doesn't have a quarterback yet. Like, I think you'll get more respect for developing a quarterback. That's how Brian Dable got his head coaching job. Josh Allen was a piece of garbage. He took 1 year with him and turned him into an elite quarterback. That's how you get a job. That's how you get a job. If you can expand what Jalen Hurts has done in the last 5 years of his career, then yeah, I think that's a much tougher task than anything that I just said. If you can go to the Browns and make Shedeur Sanders a wild card playoff quarterback, and that's all you have to do, you're going to stick around for a long time or go get a head coaching job. If you're telling me that my opportunity is to either go to the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles or make Jalen Hurts do something that he's never done in the 5 years of his career, which is throw like 30 touchdown passes, that's a place where you're either going to get fired or get stuck if you don't do that. And you're going to start this cycle all over again. So that's where I'm at. I don't think it's that desirable at all, especially if we're in this Nick might be fired next year. And I agree with you. I do agree with you. If this happens again and it's 10-6, or it's 10-7, excuse me, or 11-6. That's 16 weeks, man. The old brain will never get rid of it. That's where I push back on that. Do you think that's fair?
I do. I totally see your point. And I knew as soon as I said it, I was going to get pushback on it. And we won't know until the season starts. So we could have this conversation all off season. And unfortunately, we won't know until we watch this team play and what the results of everything happens is. At the same time, I could see a world where obviously if there's this offensive coordinator coming in and Jalen doesn't want to run the offense, see ya, Jalen. See ya. Like, I don't want Jalen Hurts to leave at all. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying if he doesn't want to run this offense, at a certain point, you got to be like, yo, like, what do you want? We're bringing in these coordinators for you and these coaches, clearly, to sustain your success, and you're not doing it. And it's not working. Like, how far are we going to kick this can down the road? And I guarantee you that they're not going to want to pay him top dollar quarterback money if he's obviously not producing. That's just common sense. What other option do you have? I know Howie just said he's an elite head coach. That's great. And they also said that Doug Peterson was going to be back, and a couple days later he was fired. You really have to take some stuff they say with a grain of salt. And again, I love Nick. And clearly, like, we can debate all they want. I know there's obviously the whole AJ situation, but I would say a majority of these players really love playing for Nick. And I think a lot of that is evident from, and I know emotions were high, but after the playoff loss, like, a lot of players were emotional. And I thought what Nick said on Hard Knocks was pretty telling. There was like a little snippet of his post-game speech after the loss. And he said that this journey is special. A lot of you guys that have been here for 2-3 years understand that. And I think a lot of the players resonated with that just based off their emotions. So Nick is a great players coach. He clearly is. I mean, they won a Super Bowl off of it. Something worked off of that. Let me throw this out there. This is a tweet from Josina Anderson. She said, added notes. A league source said earlier today the Eagles are looking for an established name at offensive coordinator and that they'll try to vet through the top qualifiers as much as possible. No one is at the top until they do. Sounds like Mike McDaniel is regarded as an intriguing name too, among others, given some of the distinctions in his scheme from what Philadelphia has run. To give context, this was a quote tweet. A league source said Cliff Kingsbury, a runner-up when the team hired Kellen Moore, Kevin Stefanski will get a real look for the Eagles offensive coordinator position, among other options. From what we can tell, I would say the big four, at least for me, the big four, and Charlie Weiss, which we'll get into, Stefanski, McDaniel, Dable, and Cliff Kingsbury. To me, it seems like that they're doing the research on all of them. I would just be shocked after the results of what just happened, and all those coaches have access to film. I would be just shocked if a big name guy comes in here and there's not full-on clarification that they would not have complete autonomy of this offense. Because again, why would anybody come here if that's the case? That's why I'm optimistic, because they would be stupid to tell this fan base to trust us and blah, 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 and how we give all these quotes and stuff if nothing's actually going to change. Because stuff did change in 2023 to 2024. They just did. I mean, they brought in Saquon in here for Pete's sakes, and we said that Howie would never pay a running back. And look what happened. Yeah. So I think things will change. Howie was like, look, we hate that we're here right now and having confetti fall on our head. Like, that is a ticked off Howie Roseman to me. And I love a ticked off Howie Roseman, because that means he's going to be uber duper ultra aggressive and not putting guys like a Dory Jackson out there on the field at quarterback next year. He's flat out said himself, it wasn't good enough. And I love a not good enough Howie Roseman.
Maybe it's Howie convincing the OC that they'll at least go back to the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game and not really selling it on Nick and what he's able to do and not do and things like that. Which also kind of like, I did think about this. I did have a tinfoil hat theory where, all right, let's just say they go through Dable, McDaniel, Cliff, and Stefanski, and they're not willing to work with Nick Sirianni or work in this situation. Do you think they pull the Jaguars and just say, Nick, they're willing to work with Jalen, they're not willing to work with you, so we're going to make Mike McDaniel our new head coach? Because that is really the only way that I can see any of the four guys that you mentioned taking this job. You are basically telling me that the only way this Philadelphia Eagles team can operate is having a second head coach at offensive coordinator. That is the only thing that Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have proved. If you put a guy that has head coaching experience or is lightning in a bottle with Shane Steichen, who's way smarter than everybody on your staff, that's the only thing that Eagles fans are telling me. Experience, somebody that's better than Nick Sirianni's offense, and yet you have Howie Roseman calling him an elite head coach. Again, could be optics, could be anything, but that is interesting to me. The only way this works is with someone who's completely experienced and might have been a head coach or is about to be a head coach. That's it. Yeah. How can I get over that? And we keep pointing at Nick Sirianni, but there's so much pushback every time that happens. Why? And another thing, if this is bothering the shit out of me, if it really is true with Richard Sherman and all that stuff about Ryan Fitzpatrick talking to Kevin Petullo and say they don't understand the inner workings, and there was a lot of pushback from that too, like, be a man and step in there and all this other stuff. Like, I get it, but where's Jalen being a man? Where is he putting his foot down and saying, we're not doing this, guys. This is not how we're operating, et cetera, et cetera. And no other person in the world knows Jalen's limitations more than Nick Sirianni. So if Kevin Petullo is coming to you and it clearly either saying this to Nick Sirianni or Nick believes it too, that Jalen can't do this, why would Nick Sirianni step in and defend his quarterback then if Kevin Petullo truly believes he's limited and like, I got nothing for him? That's the most confusing part of this to me. We need somebody to baby our head coach so bad that he doesn't even step in when his quarterback is reeling and has no sense of like what's going on with the offense. And granted, no one else does too. How do you not tell your best friend, fuck you, we just won a Super Bowl with this guy? What do you mean he's limited? Like, get the fuck out of here. If you believe that, you can't be on my staff anymore. That didn't happen. Am I crazy, Kyler?
No.
Like,
no.
If we believe that all of that stuff that came out from Kevin, that he truly, truly believes that, Nick Sirianni should have kicked his ass out of there in 6 weeks. I can't do it with Jalen, guys. I thought I could. I can't. That did not happen. And we say loyalty and friendship, but there's a lot of pushback that from all players, and take it at face value, that said Kevin Petullo wasn't doing anything wrong to screw up this offense. He was just doing what he was told, essentially. That's everything I get from player exit interviews, how they're handling this. And Bo and everybody else is saying, like, it's ridiculous that you would believe this about Jalen Hurts. Well, somebody still fucking does in that room. That hasn't been solved yet, simply because Kevin Potato didn't believe in it. Nick Sirianni, to some degree, has to believe that too. Why would there be so many different usages of RPO when he has somebody that's a head coach next to him and somebody that's not? Why? Why are there 1,700 RPOs without somebody from the outside and 600 with somebody from the inside? Why? That's so different from one another. That's all. Any thoughts, Kyler? Sorry, I'm just going off on a tangent here.
No,
it's been
man.
bothering me all week.
You know what's fascinating about this, John, is we really basically did 2023 all over again, except it wasn't a series of losses at the very end. We're kind of like this, like the reverse 2023 almost in a way. It's weird.
Or
you know,
what 2023 should have been. I think that you would have gotten the same version of this, you know, but Desai screwed everything up. Like, if you saw this, maybe they beat Tampa Bay that year or whatever it is. Probably not with, but you know, there's a defense to contend with Baker Mayfield and everybody that year. It wouldn't be much different. And if we saw Vic and Nick together then, and then kind of saw the same season now, I think Nick Sirianni would be fired.
I agree. Now, let me ask you this, John, and I want your opinion on this. Which job position is more desirable? The offensive coordinator for the Eagles or the offensive coordinator job for the Lions?
Oh, the Lions.
Why is that?
Same thing. Dan Campbell doesn't call the offense.
But he just did it in the middle of the year.
Because the guy sucks that they hired. Something that the Eagles should have done. You talk about Mike McDaniel, Brian Dable, and all those weapons and things that you do there. You get to go under center with Jared Goff. Jared Goff and Tua's game plan are basically the same because they throw with torque, you know. I know Tua's mobile and whatever, but that's gotten him concussed. They have the same type of, you don't have to move in the pocket, and that's what Mike McDaniel loves to do. He loves that overarching throw, that Tom Brady throw with a tight loft spiral. Like, it's just it'd be perfect. It welcomes that type of creativity. They just lost Ben Johnson. They're trying to replace him, you know?
But that's the thing. Dan Campbell has only had one head coach or one coordinator to be a head coach, and that's Ben Johnson. Like, Nick Sirianni has only had two. Like, he's only had two. And the Lions defense is way worse. Ben Johnson could have got hired 2 years ago. He turned it down.
Mike McDaniel, you have the same opportunity to, one, not get fired after a year if it goes south for you, and two, I think you would definitely get a head coaching job a lot faster if you're with the Lions. 100%. And it's in your control to do it. Like, there's no questions of Nick is not going to interfere with me. It's my staff. It's my side of the ball. It's the same point I'm making with a lot of these. If you're in Seattle right now, you must be feeling fucking great that there's a defensive head coach, that the Raiders are thinking about doing it, et cetera, et cetera. There's just too much control everywhere to show what you actually do. Kellen Moore didn't show what he actually could do. They got scared of Kellen Moore's offense and changed it. And everybody's saying that's a Nick Sirianni problem. Not a Nick Sirianni problem. You know?
I find the Lions argument really, really fascinating because I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what is much more desirable for the Lions because how do we not know over there in Detroit if Danny Campbell can't get his hands on that? He literally fired the offensive coordinator in the middle of the year.
He's still on the staff. He's still on the staff. He remained on the staff. That's what I mean. He's still going to hang out and be there, just like Kevin Patul probably would be if he didn't get his house egged. He's not going to fucking back.
The only thing the only difference is of why that's more desirable is because of the quarterback position. That's the only thing we're saying.
No. I'm saying because name any team. Literally any team that's open right now, you're guaranteed more money. Full stop. You're guaranteed more money and more time to do it. So if you have a brand new quarterback coming in that's never played in the NFL before, that is your work. There's nothing touched on it. Coming here, there's so much shit that's touched on it. That has been the number one Eagles problem is this collaboration approach sucks because no one's agreeing. You know, like there is a roadblock the minute you get to Howie Roseman. And that is unfortunate. Just look at Howie's history. This is nothing against Nick. It's nothing against Jalen Hurts. Just back the picture up. What has Howie Roseman done in his lifetime? Hired supposed puppets. And if you say puppets, then you can't argue of why an OC wouldn't come here. A head coach doesn't really have the power to do shit between Howie and the quarterback. You are limited in what you can do here, not because of one person, because of the collection of great stuff that you have. Not to even mention, if A.J. Brown is here, still got to attend to his needs with the offense, still got to attend to Devontae Smith's needs to the offense. There's a lot of personalities and things to deal with, and it's not always looked at as a positive light over here to do that. It's not that I don't think the Eagles are cheap. I don't think it's a bad place to work. It's a good job. It's not the best one when you're competing against 14 other organizations this time. That's a crazy number. That's more than 2022, and I'm including offensive coordinator positions. And it might be 13 now or 12 or whatever it is, but like your top candidates are going to go to those places. You can't change economics. Like you just can't. So unless there's this, hey, you have to come here, and this is something we haven't talked about yet. I'm sorry, buddy. This is what we'll probably end with. That's why I still think college is more likely than unlikely. Based on the Eagles' hiring schedule, there's always these top candidates that they're going to interview because that is optics to me. Of course you want to bring in the best. Of course you want to look like the best are going to come to you, and that's exactly why you pull names like Charlie Weiss Jr., from LSU, and 1,000% he would come here to get into the NFL. Of course, that is what we are looking for. We're looking for an experienced play caller. If you don't believe that college football and the NFL are not close, they have never been closer right now.
Exactly.
That's why the old guys aren't fucking working anymore, because they're still running this progression read offense bullshit that none of these quarterbacks from like Justin Herbert's class on up, which is Jalen Hurts' class. I'm sorry to insult everybody like that. But that's just what's been happening. Like it's why Greg Roman sucks. And I wouldn't want him here. I could talk myself into like the fired Chargers coordinator 4 times in a row between Frank and Kellen and Shane all working out. But yeah, I think for consistency purposes and like they want a guy here that can flow with all this stuff. You've got a 30-year-old wonderkin at LSU that I think you should take away from Lane's fucking offense, or if he doesn't want him, even better. Like that is a perfect candidate while Sean McVay's staff is being gutted with all the 16-year-olds that he has as quarterback coaches. You know, they're getting head coaching interviews right now. I think it's college is more likely than unlikely is all I keep saying, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
I actually like Charlie Weiss a lot. And the reason why I say that, I believe that if they go down that route, that is really telling to me saying, hey, we think that we could have this guy for at least a couple years. They may not be, but if he comes in and has great success and innovative and everything, and it looks like that he has full control over this offense. Based off history, and we could disagree on this too, but I would think that he could stick around for one more season, for at least 2 years. And I think that might be their thinking on that with that hire versus a McDaniel and Stefanski who have literally already interviewed for head coaching jobs already. I think that might be the route that they go down of, hey, if we bring in this college guy, I think teams might be hesitant to hire them from us after just 1 year in. The other flip side of the coin I have is I think it's still interesting that they're poking around the college level with just how miserably everything failed with Chip Kelly and how Chip Kelly at Oregon was an innovative college mind. And it was great for 2 years. And then it blew up. And it's pretty known that Jeff does not like Chip Kelly at all. So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that we're kind of poking around the college level a bit. I'm not mad at it. John, I'm so burned by the last 20 weeks of the season that if you convince me that Joe Schmo at Angelo's can run a scheme of offense because he played Philadelphia parking lot football and he created the best Philadelphia parking lot football of all time, I'm like, all right, yeah, I got some optimism. Like, dude, that is how low that I am right now with this offense.
Well, I don't think you need to. I don't think you knew. Howie Roseman has attempted to hire a defensive coordinator from Georgia, so I don't think that there's a gap of like trying to not find any college people because you got burned by Chip. It's the same reason why like a lot of the old guys are heading back to the college scene. You know, it's just not different. It's way more of a pro atmosphere than it has ever been before. That eliminates a lot of like the recruiting CEO college coaches. So like where the best minds are that offensive coordinator room for sure. And it won't happen this year, but I am curious to keep GJ Kenny's mind in everyone else's mind, because speaking of like 2013, it has been a long time since you have probably heard that name, but he's been coaching his butt off in a lot of different places. He is currently the head coach of the North Texas Stars, I believe they are.
Yes.
So
yes,
in terms of passing efficiency, one of the best in college football. No matter what the class is. So those things are the things that I would start looking for, because that's what you're looking for. Why are you looking for more of Nick Sirianni's passing concepts? It doesn't matter. They don't really work here, and they're not running them. So I could believe that Nick Sirianni's offense is just completely stale. But if we're going to make those arguments, you just got to fire him then, because I would rather go through that than this stupid game of like trying to find his replacement, if that's what people really think, or to just continue to prop this up and kid ourselves that this thing can work brilliantly without an offensive mind that's like close to a head coach already.
Well, two things that are on my mind before I forget them. I think the first thing, and I'll talk about this specific coordinator first. I like Brian Daboll, but I really, 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 really question on how him and Nick are going to mesh. I really do. Because they're both emotional guys. And I could just see that being a disaster case. So, I don't know. I like Brian Daboll, and I think that there's a lot of positives, obviously, with him working with Jalen and the continuity between him and Jalen at Alabama. I also am like, I think that could go down south really fast. And, because Kellen was a pretty like level-headed guy. He didn't get emotional at all. I think Brian Daboll could be, at its best, phenomenal. Just based off of, like, he did stuff with Daniel Jones that we never thought would even become close to reaching his potential in 2022. We had written Daniel Jones way, way off way back then, thinking that dude was a massive bust. And he was able to lead that Giants team to that playoffs and obviously lost against us in the divisional. So, again, I like Brian Daboll, but I think that could be a huge, huge just disaster waiting to happen that I'm really concerned about. But the second thing...
real quick, there's got to be some form of irony where Mike McDaniel is one of the top leading candidates who worked with Tua, and then you've got the guy as the other candidate who was part of the process of benching Jalen Hurts for Tua going in from like the 2017, or he might have been gone by then. So actually Brian Daboll was not part of that decision. Now I'm thinking about it, but he was there when it happened. So I just think there's some form of, does that scream Jalen to you? Does to me. I want the guy that worked with Tua, and I want the guy that backed me during that time.
If they hire McDaniel or if they hire Daboll?
Either one. I think that's why they're on the top of the list, is because Jalen said, I want either one of those guys first. I want the guy that helped Tua out and made his middle of the field passing increase, because that is still a stretch to me of like, if you hire McDaniel or Dable here, getting Jalen from like a 7% MOF attempt range to even 15 or 20 is crazy, even though it sounds like he's screaming for it on Hard Knocks. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I think it's a really, really tough challenge to get that in here.
We'll see. We'll see, John. I'm plugging Tony Romo. We'll see, John. I don't know. This is going to be a wild offseason, man. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait, man. I'm so pumped. I'm excited.
We need to read this right now, Kyler. We need to read this right now because there is a very large piece from Michael Silver that Taboo just tagged me into the Discord, and it is the problems inside the Eagles offense went far beyond Kevin Patullo. Can we just read this together and see what happens? All right, so here's where Michael starts. Sunday against the depleted 49ers defense, brimming with rookies, castoffs, and journeymen. It's a bunch of nothing. I'm sorry to put us through that.
Come on, Taboo.
Come on, Taboo. Good gosh.
No, it's okay. I thought something like major breaking news just came in. I was like, oh, live podcast.
I did too.
Breaking news. Uh-oh. But,
all right, so to wrap that up and put it in a bun, because we definitely, by the time you've heard this, we've edited a lot of that out. It's just being on the same ground of our discussion. I think this goes way beyond just an offensive coordinator. I think we've had that discussion a long time, too. There's politics that we don't know about, and there's people that don't want to blame Nick as much or don't want to blame Jalen as much. But, dude, both of these guys have put him in this situation. I think both of them are trying to do their best as well, and that's why when you have answers at OC, you're basically looking for a head coach. I don't care who you blame. That's not a good position to be in. That this needs someone so experienced to work. Just fucking fire the head coach. Or get rid of the quarterback. That's what I'm saying. I think I've said that a billion times this year. Have the balls to do one or the other. Because having A.J. Brown here for the rest of his Eagles career is important to me. I don't want him to suddenly be a Patriot and be buddy-buddy with Vrabel again, and then him and Drake May are winning Super Bowls together. I would be sick as shit if that happens, and so would you.
I could not agree with you more on that statement.
Let us not trade A.J. Brown for the coach or the quarterback, because that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like, isn't that the fucking answer? It's the coach or the quarterback of why A.J. Brown is leaving. Or wants to leave.
John, I retweeted this last night, and this was a tweet by, honestly, this random guy on Twitter, at our man Killjoy. He said, I can't lie. It's really starting to feel to me like Eagles fans who don't want A.J. Brown here must be new fans. There's absolutely no way you sat and suffered through what we had at wide receiver historically and aren't grateful he's in midnight green. And I retweeted that because I'm like, I cannot agree with that statement more. And I cannot agree with that statement that you just made. It would be, if that, I don't care really well if they trade him, what we get back for him. If that trade notification does actually come through by Adam Schefter, it's going to make me sick to my stomach. And it's going to make me wonder, man, what a golden opportunity did we just miss here with A.J. Brown? And I really hope that it's not true. And I really hope that it doesn't happen, that he's actually traded this offseason.
We'll have some answers because we can stop debating the we don't know part relatively soon. I would imagine that within the week, a lot of these jobs are going to be settled. By the end of January, I'd be shocked if every single one of them weren't. So we got about another week and a half to throw out some suggestions, theories, tinfoil hat things. If I had to lean one way or the other, I think they're doing an incredible job of not demonstrating how Jalen Hurts feels about all of this. That's basically where I'm at. We don't really know, and I feel like he's saying, guys, I have to have control of my own career here or not, and I believe that. I also believe that Jeffrey Lurie is a bigger fan of Jalen Hurts than a lot of people in that building, and it's time to start accepting that right now. Like there's two splits here that are back in the coach and are back in the QB, and it's starting to show its feathers. So we'll see. And I'm still banking on QB, regardless of all that. Even though my stomach is telling me, don't do that, John, I'm sticking with Jalen Hurts. I think it's a lot of just too many great things working together, and everybody believes that they are more a part of it than they really think they are, because it just looks like the Seattle Seahawks all over again. Any final thoughts here, Kyler?
Well, I can't wait to debate this for another week and a half, but I'll just say it on the record. Give me McDaniel, Stefanski, or Weiss. At the very end of it, I'll take Kingsbury. I wouldn't mind Dable, but I'd be hesitant about it. That's my final thoughts on my picks for the OC. And the potato, has been mashed.
Potato has been mashed, and I actually agree. I'm fine with any of these names if they come here. That's not my argument at all. I would love any single one of these guys to be here. It's going to be an interesting 2027 when that happens. So I'm on board for anything, and I hope that A.J. Brown is too. Kyler, thank you as always. Thank you for listening. Join us in the Discord. Make sure you're subscribing, downloading, and telling your friends that we're having a lot of fun here at the Watching the Birds podcast and social club. We'll see you guys.